Well,
Ahoy
ahoy
there,
there,
cruisers!
Gratuitous. I said a mixture of cruises and gratuity. So this one's a real controversial topic. Gratuities. We're going to take a look at cruise ship gratuities and exactly what they are.
But before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date with our latest videos. First of all, what are gratuities?
So gratuities are an automatic tip, or what we'd say is more like a service charge, that's charged to your account every single day. So it's a set fee per person per day that is automatically added to your account. In addition to the automatic daily charges, you'll find an 18 to 20% gratuity on things like meal packages, specialty restaurants, the spa, or if you buy drinks without the drinks package, you'll pay that gratuity per drink. These are automatic, so there's no need to actually manually or physically tip waiters or stewards or anything like that. These are taken off your account daily.
Yeah, so there'll be automatically a charge to your onboard account. You'll see a daily gratuity charge on your bill, so that's what that is.
So how much do these gratuities cost?
So on average, a gratuity costs around $14 per person per day, but this can vary depending on the cruise line and the type of cabin that you're in, somewhere between $12 to $14 per person. Suites and cabins above suite category are usually more expensive than a regular balcony cabin. But as you can imagine, this can add up, particularly if you're a family. Say you're a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 children, that's going to cost you around $500 for a week's cruise. So it's going to add up. So you need to remember that when you're booking your cruise, that you're going to have to be paying the gratuity charge as well. So just cost that into your cruise. So who do these gratuities go to?
Well, each cruise line differs in this respect, but it's usually split between the crew. Things like room attendants, dining staff, wait staff, and people behind the scenes. But dining staff usually get the biggest chunk of this. But there is some grey areas around this because we don't know whether or not cruise lines take a cut of this tip. So we don't know exactly what proportion is going to each person and how much the cruise line, if any, are taking any of the tip. But the crew work incredibly hard with ridiculous hours. You're talking 15 plus hours a day, no breaks.
7 days a week.
Barely any breaks, 7 days a week without time off for months on end. And cruise passengers are really demanding, so it is a really tough job to be crew on a ship.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, yeah, they don't detail where these go, but some cruise lines do. When we sailed on Disney, they actually detailed who would be getting exactly what out of our daily gratuity charge. So that was nice to know who it was going towards.
So this definitely causes most of the controversy because people want to see the money go to the exact people who did the best jobs, really, who provided exceptional service. But with this, it's more of an overarching thing. And like we said, it's a big grey area, so we don't know exactly how much is going to each crew member. It's not just the people who we've talked about, it's people behind the scenes are getting recognised as well. So you've got to think, if you're going to take your cruise gratuities off, think of all of the other people you're going to be punishing who you don't even see. So the people who are cleaning your clothes, everything like that. So are we really just supplementing crew wages then?
Well, we don't know, but what we do know is that cruise lines register their ships in what they call ports of convenience, or sometimes called a flag of convenience. This is why you'll see a lot of ships registered in places such as Panama, the Bahamas, and Malta, for example. What that means is that they're using the local law of that country that they're registered in, and these tend to have not very good labour laws, and as well for tax purposes as well. So they'll have more freedom to not charge a minimum wage, for example, and also be working longer hours.
These labour laws are much less strict than, say, countries such as the US or the UK.
Yeah.
And because there is no minimum wage, they can pay the crew really whatever they want. So the gratuities make up a large part of their wage at the end of the month, really. So by removing gratuities, you are going to make the crew suffer in respect. Whichever way, if you like it or not, that's just really the way it is. You'll also see that cruise lines employ a lot of people from poorer countries, a lot from Asia, so places like India and parts of China and Thailand and things like that, because they can get away with basically paying lower wages. People, I guess, from Europe and the US are expected to have minimum wages, so they would find it much more difficult, I think, to hire people in these service roles.
What if I had bad service on my cruise though?
Well, hopefully this is just by 1 or 2 people and not by all of the people. So the first thing we would recommend you do is obviously speak to the crew about this. So head to guest services and make a complaint about it. See if there's anything they can do about it to make it up to you if it's been particularly bad. Otherwise, we say please don't take your tips off altogether. This is probably the worst thing you can do. And if you do decide to take the automatic tips off, please still do tip the crew. I mean, I know some people prefer that, and that's absolutely fair enough. But yeah, don't punish the rest of the crew for 1 or 2 making it a worse time for you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and also, like you said, at least give them the opportunity to make it back up to you and have your voice heard as well. By just removing your tip, you're not actually saying there's an issue, and that means that they can't resolve it for future cruises as well.
Yeah, we definitely disagree with taking tips off altogether. Worst case scenario, we think you take them off and then you tip the individual people you think actually deserve it, because that seems fair enough to us. So what would you do if you've had exceptional service?
Well, we get asked this question a lot. Can I tip extra? Well, of course you can. If you would like to recognise a particular member of crew, you can give them tips in cash as well. So if you'd like to give them a little bit extra on top of what you've already paid as part of the automatic charge, please feel free to do that.
And with cruise lines such as Princess, you can increase or decrease your gratuity charge depending on the service you've had. We also recommend that you go down to guest services or fill in the questionnaire and make sure that crew member has been highlighted, just so that head office know that they're doing a fantastic job. It'll get back to them and it'll make the day that they're doing their job fantastically.
And if you didn't want to give cash over, you can also hand other things over, such as phone cards are usually quite popular, or treats or gifts or anything that you think shows a big thank you.
A bit of affection. We like to bring things from our home country of the UK, so things like chocolate and things, just to give them a little bit of comfort food and to show our appreciation.
And if you would like to tip extra in cash and you're wondering what currency you should give the tips in, we always say the best bet is US dollars, because you can usually spend that everywhere, particularly if your cruise is in the Caribbean.
So should you remove tips? Well, as we've already said, we pretty much disagree with this. Whilst you know that in places like the UK, tipping isn't really a regular thing.
Because we have such a minimum wage, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to remember that whilst on a cruise, it is a thing on the most part. And when in Rome, you knew before you booked that there was going to be tips. So there really isn't any excuse for it. Whether or not you think they should be part of the price or an extra charge, more cruise lines now in the future are changing to gratuity-less cruises. So companies like P&O and Marella and Virgin Voyages, a new cruise company, they're going to have no tips on their actual cruises. So we think you're going to be taking money off the crew, to be honest. So as we said, if you're going to take them off, please reward excellent service individually in cash. And whilst everybody might not 100% agree with auto gratuities, it really is a lot easier than having to think about who you should tip and when. You've just
how much as well.
Yeah, whilst it might not be a tip, you've just got to think of it as an extra service charge to help the crew.
I think this is a real big cultural thing as well. As you said, we don't really tip in the UK. It's not something we do. So we're not used to tipping. So we actually do like the automatic charge because you don't have to worry about it. When we're in America, we're forever trying to figure out how much to tip. We never know. We're just like, oh, I don't know how much. How much. I don't want to seem rude, but then I don't want to seem overly generous. So it's nice that it's all just taken care of.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, if your cruise is coming with the gratuities included, there is no need to tip extra on your cruise for people like waitresses and servers and things like that. It's just not needed. And if you're paying the auto gratuity, remember you shouldn't be really paying tips to the waiter and things on top of that. That's completely up to your discretion.
And the same with buying drinks in the bar. That comes with the tip included in the price. You'll actually see that broken down on the piece of paper. If you want to give an extra tip, you can do, but don't feel obliged to, as they've already added that into the price.
Same with specialty restaurants. The tip's already popped on there already. 18 to 20% tip is automatically popped on there. So again, there's no need to tip extra unless you want to. If you've had fantastic, exceptional service, it is completely up to you. So guys, we really hope you enjoyed our show about gratuities. We know it's a real controversial topic and we completely understand that some people view it completely differently. We have a good understanding of this and we really respect everybody's talk about this. But yeah, let's keep it nice in the comments. Please leave us a comment below to tell us what you think about gratuities. And if you've got any ideas of how you could make them a more better thing or whatever, let us know in the comments below. And please don't forget to give us a subscribe and hit that bell button. We've got so many fantastic videos coming up in the next few months.
If you liked this video and you'd like to support us further, you can support us on Patreon. The money on Patreon goes towards helping with equipment and travel costs as well. Big thanks to everybody who supported us so far, and cruise captain this week is Tris.
So that's it till next time.
Happy cruising! Colour, sponsored by Durex. Dulux.
Durex. Durex.